green hydrogen before, we need to develop these new sectors and the new skills, reskill people. I might be an engineer, I'm a civil engineer, but I can be repurposed to become a whatever engineer. Does that make sense? So the NIPDB was formed in 2020. We started officially in 2021. I started on the 1st of April. My boss started on the 1st of January 2021. It was a public holiday, yes, I know. But that was her day of appointment. She was appointed in 2020, but we started on the 1st of January, that's essentially. We set up, they set up offices. She was running the office with about 3 people, or just 2 people. She was the 3rd one. Set up office, we started on the 1st of April. And there's specific mandates around the NIPDB, but the key mandate is to position Namibia as an investment destination. And so why is the data protection, and not only that, I think before I get to the data protection is, we need to position Namibia as an investment destination, attract investments to the country, create employment. I don't like the word jobs. Employment, gainful employment for Namibians in the country. And also employment that you can, live out your passions. So we also then, as part of, there's a department, there's 6 departments at the NIPDB, the CEO's office. We've got the operations department, and that department is really responsible for running our office, our operations. Then you've got investor experience, retention, and aftercare. That's my acronym that I also investor experience, retention, and aftercare. They're specifically responsible for investor services. So when an investor comes to Namibia, I need to invest in X, I need to register my business, I need perhaps some visas for key personnel, that needs to work within that, and especially when you're looking at new industries. And then you've got investments, so they run the one-stop, ERA runs the one-stop center. So if you're an investor in the country, you should register your investment with the NIPDB, and then from there, then you are eligible for the investor services. So we do not offer, like if we want to just open our small businesses, you would still have to go through BIPA directly. So this one is specifically geared for investors. Then you've got the investment and new ventures department. They are responsible for looking at investments that are coming into the country. They're responsible for attracting investments to the country, promote Namibia as an investment destination. We do the promotion, I'll come to our department now. But then they are the ones that engage with the investors. They evaluate projects that investors have. Is it a viable project? And they help them, then hand over them to the investor services department. And once that happens, they also have a department called New Ventures, a division which is called New Ventures. Under New Ventures, we have productivity task forces. So we look at new industries that are developing in the country. We set up with public and private sector players in these industries, and they sort of collaborate with each other to make sure that if there are impediments, hindrances to actually seeing this sector flourish, that we take care of those. So we've got 3 productivity task forces at the moment. That is bovine. Do all of us know what bovine is? No. If you know what bovine is, put up your hand. Yeah, I hear it. I also didn't know the first time I heard it. So I didn't know. So bovine is really just the meat industry. So we set up the bovine industry, and Namibia is one of the first countries to export to the US, first African country to export beef to the USA. And so what you notice is how more productive can we become in exporting beef? How more, how do we scale that industry, for lack of a better description? Can't put it together right now. The second one is the high value fruit. So our grapes, our dates, our blueberries. And apparently we are growing, yes, the name was now on my lips and now it's just gone. Not asparagus. Asparagus, yes, and there's a new investment of about 1.5 billion to scale that project. Pomegranates. Namibia is growing pomegranates. Yeah, Namibia is growing pomegranates. Yeah, I was also like, huh? But if you think about it, our similarities to Israel is so, it's so uncanny, like they grow pomegranates, we grow pomegranates. So again, how do we scale that industry? working together to make sure. So I think it was Chile. Chile was having, very small blueberries industry, and from that they scaled it. I think they're one of the top 3 blueberry exporters in the world. So they sat together and they said, look, we can actually build this thing up to great levels, and so how do we do that? So that's what we're looking at as a country. The third one is the film industry. We've had so many Hollywood films filmed here in this country, and then we are at the cinema watching, that looks like soccer. It is soccer, or it is outside soccer. And we just do that, and then the films are taken to South Africa and the US because we don't have the setup here. And I think just to give you an example, you've got, for instance, just catering for a Hollywood movie. Just catering. Now, how many of us have got an aunt or a friend or a twin or what have you that does catering? How many of us know people who are in catering? No, just put up your hand. Very high. You see, it's like about 70% of the room. Now you tell, okay, I'm going to use a name. Please, if it's your name, do not worry about it. Or if it's your aunt's name that does catering, I'm not talking about your aunt. Now you have Memelina, and I normally use Memelina, it's just an easy name for me. Memelina, she provides catering. So now Hollywood says to her that we need catering at 10 o'clock sharp. Not a minute late. These guys are eating from 10 to 10:15. And then Mariah Carey is the lead actress in the movie. And she's a diva, maybe. And she says, I want only orange juice, squeezed with oranges from Panama. And now Memelina is Panama, where's that? So now it creates a bit of, I think it's not that they can't do it. What we've noticed is just the kind of speed that the Hollywood team is working on. It says that many people they become overwhelmed and then we don't deliver. But we want to get our industry to a level where we can deliver, because it's possible. If it's just a burger made with patties with beef from, I don't know, wherever the beef, Argentina. Maybe the Argentinian actor is there, he wants beef from his own country, whatever the case may be. Memelina can surely import that beef here, and she can surely make sure it's ready at 10 o'clock sharp. So it's more a matter of being overwhelmed, because it's such a quick, we've never done this kind of thing before, such a quick pace, and how do we do that? So that's where we are with that. So those are the 3 sectors that we're busy developing. Then you've got strategy and branding. We're responsible to brand Namibia. Brand Namibia as an investment destination and brand Namibia overall. We've seen that now, Namibia is out there, and in branding, there's this thing called relevance, credibility, and differentiation. Those are the 3 ingredients you need to have to actually position a brand or to have a brand. Are you differentiated from your competitors? Are you credible? Can you actually say that I do this and I really do it? So say for instance, Telecom says, I will come and set up your phone line within an hour. And they come 2 hours, 10 hours later. Then they keep their brand promise. They didn't keep their promise. So brands are really just the story I tell, and I must keep to that story that I'm telling. So as a country, a lot of the work that we're doing around policy reforms, around making sure we've got the right policies, we've got the right structures, our customer service is, at a level where we are actually, keeping to our promise. For instance, we did research right at the beginning, and we asked investors what are some of the key issues they would have, and they said Namibia is like a model, like catwalk model. But Namibia is like a model that has become a bit older, and she's lost her vavavoom. But she can come back. We just think she hasn't lost it all completely. She can come back and reposition herself. And why? One of the key things they said is that we put people proceed processes. In other words, if I know, what's your name, sir? Shoki. If I know Shoki. If I know Shoki, then I can go to Shoki, and Shoki will help me deal with my investment issue, maybe register my company faster. But if Mr. What's your name, sir? Stavros. What kind of names are these? Shoki and Stavros. Stavros now goes to the same place where Shoki works, and he wants the same service, he must stand in the line. So, because people know certain people, they get the service faster. And they say that's one of the things we need to work on. And also we do great marketing, but it's not the same when they come here. The taxi driver is not there on time, etc. So it's really improving our value chain internally and promoting it as it is. Okay, then you've got, and so that's branding, and then we also responsible for policy and really giving input to the policy owners. We don't own any policy. We don't own any policy as NIPDB. We work with the policy owners as we're working now with the Ministry of ICT to sort out the data, to finalize the data protection bill and to become an act in order for us to use it effectively. And I'll come now to why that's important for us. Then you have the, I think I've mentioned all of them. Then you have the MSME. So MSME is really facilitating, bringing SMEs to a place where one, they have access to funding, and then we can scale some MSMEs and we can start exporting to other countries. Because why is it that we're going to make, what makes a country successful? Our GDP. And GDP is really just how productive is this country. So if you have 36% unemployment, that means you're not really very productive because 36% of your people are actually sitting at home, they're not working. And so in order to bring that, we need investments to come into the country. Those people that are employed there, they start becoming productive. And these new industries that we're developing, they then add value to the productivity of our country. I'm just coming from a meeting. The reason why I was running a bit late, we're just coming from a meeting where we met with some geologists who are going to have a colloquium. And I Googled what is it versus a conference and versus. It was so funny. It's actually where academics come and meet. And many times when we're developing our countries, we leave out the nerds, for lack of a better description. You know, they are the ones who know. And she had one slide that says, what is a smartphone made of? And how many of those elements that make up a smartphone are actually in Namibia? So there were a couple of those that are in Namibia. So why can't we find investment opportunities to actually then develop those products here and export them to the smartphone makers, or even better, make the smartphones in Namibia. So that was a fun meeting for me. Yeah, I might not be a scientist, but I actually find those things interesting. Great. So the Data Protection Act, we had, the reason why we had interest, shocking, and Meme, is because we had a couple of investors. One of our key sectors that we're looking for investments for in our country is business services. So you've got lots of guys, we've got a lot of students that went to Germany, a lot of Namibians, during the struggle, for lack of a better description. Yeah, the struggle. Lots of our Namibian students went to Germany, they lived in Germany, they speak German fluently. Apparently we've got a great chunk of black Namibians who speak German. I didn't know that, I thought there were just 10 or 20 of them, but there's a whole lot of them. So these investors came, about 3 of them, or 4 of them came to Namibia and said, we want to set up one call centers, but also we want to set up, opportunities for, especially the German companies coming to Namibia, we want to set up, but we want to provide these services, German speaking, etc. So a call center, what normally happens in a call center, you've got a lot of calls coming in, you actually capture people's data. So the first thing they asked us is, does Namibia have a Data Protection Act? And so then we started, I think the ministry was already working on it, including the cybersecurity, etc., etc. The ministry was already working on it. And so we then partnered with the ministry and we said, it's very important because the investor will not invest here without a Data Protection Act. So many of them are just parked, waiting. So the longer we take to finalize it, the more we run a risk of actually investors then going to another country that has the Data Protection Act. On top of it, we need to make sure that our act is obviously world-class, and I know that that is something that we've been working on, because a lot of the EU countries are saying, look, as long as it's not aligned to our, at least to the EU standards, it's going to be very difficult for European companies to then invest in Namibia. So why it's very important is, with people's data that's floating around, they want to know that that data is actually protected because they are making sure that they're protecting the data of the people that will be calling the call center, their clients, etc. And if we do not have that act that actually protects it, then what happens is Margaret, who owns the company, will just share it with her friends. Oh, what's your name? Audrey. Oh, perfect. Shoki and Audrey. How many of us know Audrey's in our lives? That's an easy name. Audrey, here's some names of some people. call them, they got opportunities, go and deal with them. So then that kind of thing cannot happen. And therefore, from our end, that's very important. It also gives Namibia credibility. It helps us position Namibia even better in the world. So if we have a Data Protection Act, so we need to look at it from that end, not only from our end as consumers who are worried about our data going out there, but also we need to look at it from an investor's point of view. You know, what do they need in order to make Namibia their home from that point of view? So I think even from a brand point of view, really just, as I said, it gives us as a nation a whole lot of credibility. So we partnered with the Ministry of ICT, Information, Communication and Technology. We partnered with them and we said we will support to make sure that this bill happens ASAP. Why is that also? Because I think it gives us a competitive advantage. Some other countries have it already in Africa, but if you look at just the number of countries that actually have a Data Protection Act versus Africa, the continent of Africa, Africa has got the fewest Data Protection Acts. So the sooner we move on it, that will just give Namibia a great competitive advantage as well that we can promote as a country. So that's it from my end. Thank you very much.